Welcome back, everyone. My name is Patrick. You're watching the Oilers Rundown. Well, it's an off day here for the Edmonton Oilers, but we do have some news and notes to go over, a few rumors going around, a big signing from the Minnesota Wild, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it here. Let's start with the latest updates from Oilers insider Tony Brouwer. He reports Noah Philp and David Tomashek both missed the skate today for the Edmonton Oilers due to an illness. Apparently, there's a cold going around the room, so the Oilers are looking to probably recall Roby Järventie and James Hamlin. That's at least Jim Matheson's guess here, and I'd say that's probably a pretty good assumption that we'll see Järventie and Hamlin recalled tomorrow by the Edmonton Oilers, but we'll ultimately see what happens on that front. According to Jim Matheson, Chris Knoblauch is likely also suffering from the cold that's going around the Oilers dressing room. Jake Walman is on track to play opening night for the Oilers on October 8th against the Calgary Flames, but tomorrow night against Seattle is out, and Friday against Vancouver is very questionable, so we'll see what happens there. Max Jones, who suffered an injury earlier in the preseason, will continue to remain out tomorrow versus Seattle, but is a possibility for Friday in Vancouver. And we also found out that Calvin Pickard will start versus the Seattle Kraken tomorrow night, and Stuart Skinner will get the final start of the preseason against Vancouver on Friday. As we close in here on the end of the preseason, PuckPedia put out the following post today. Opening rosters are submitted on Monday, which means any player that requires waivers to be sent down must be placed on waivers by Sunday at the latest for the team to not include them on their cap for Monday's roster submission. So Sunday should be a very interesting day here in Oil Country and all around the NHL as we find out what the final waiver cuts will be. We know the Edmonton Oilers are leaning towards keeping some youth here. That's definitely been alluded to by Oilers insider Bob Stauffer. Guys like Matt Savoy, Ike Howard, Alec Regula, newcomer David Tomashek all look to be on the opening day roster here for the Edmonton Oilers, but we've still got a few days to go here in the preseason, and time will ultimately tell, but should be a few surprises there for the Edmonton Oilers come Sunday. There has been a rumor going around linking the Edmonton Oilers to Chicago Blackhawks center Lukas Reichel. He's German, has struggled in Chicago, has 1 year left on his deal, so it kind of makes sense that the Edmonton Oilers would be linked to him, but Sportsnet's Mark Spector noting here, Lukas Reichel will draw interest for sure in Edmonton. GM Stan Bowman drafted him in Chicago, and now he needs to get younger in Edmonton. Reichel is soft and likely not the top six center that Chicago hoped he'd be. He needs a fresh start, like a Vasily Podkolzin, in a place where he's not seen as a first rounder. So there was some connection between the Oilers and Reichel going back to the summer as well. Apparently Lukas Reichel heard that he was going to Edmonton, but nothing materialized there. And today on Oilers Now, Bob Stauffer and Elliot Friedman brought up Lukas Reichel, and he doesn't make sense to either of them to be coming to Edmonton. So take what you will from that. The Oilers may be linked to Lukas Reichel here, but two key insiders in Bob Stauffer and Elliot Friedman struggle to see a match there. So I'd say probably nothing happens with Lukas Reichel. The Oilers already dealing with a surplus of forwards at the moment, so unless they can move out multiple bodies, and to bring in somebody who's being called soft here by Mark Spector, probably not the best move for the Edmonton Oilers. But if Lukas Reichel could come in and be Vasily Podkolzin 2.0, that would be interesting, but definitely not the same player as Pods. Insider Frank Saravalli did bring up the possibility today that Marc-Andre Fleury could be possibly linked to the Edmonton Oilers come closer to the trade deadline, when he could sign, close out the regular season with the Oilers, and play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They would have to do that signing just before the trade deadline there, so he's eligible to do that. I struggle to see a connection between the Oilers and Fleury. I think if the Pittsburgh Penguins were a team that was in that realm where they could be challenging for a playoff spot, I could see Fleury going back to Pittsburgh, but to come to Edmonton, I don't really see that one. We know the Oilers may be looking for a goaltending upgrade, so I can see where Frank Saravalli is trying to draw that from, but ultimately I don't see a strong connection there between the Oilers and Fleury, so take that one with a big grain of salt. It's really just Frank just throwing it out there. I don't think there's much to it, but there may be a possibility that Marc-Andre Fleury becomes an Edmonton Oiler closer to the trade deadline. And lastly for today, Kirill Kaprizov signing the big 8-year deal for $17 million today with the Minnesota Wild. So congrats to Minnesota. That's a great player locked up there. Not the 97 that we all wanted to see locked up today, but nevertheless, the deal gets done. Hopefully, this makes the NHLPA happy. It drives up asking prices for players, drives up salaries. But as Elliot Friedman and Bob Stauffer were talking about today on Oilers Now, Connor McDavid is expected to come in on a shorter term, lower money deal. So I don't know really how much this affects Connor McDavid. It should help Jack Eichel for sure in getting more money with Vegas, but money isn't the ultimate goal for Connor McDavid right now. It's making sure that he's in a winning situation. So we'll see what happens there. But Kirill Kaprizov, a big name off the board, and hopefully with him done and that precedent set for salaries, that will help Connor McDavid get closer here to that contract signing. We obviously want to see this one get done before the start of the regular season. Frank Saravalli also brought up possibly a salary deferred contract over the last couple days, but both Bob Stauffer and Elliot Friedman don't see that happening for Connor McDavid. So just thought I'd mention that as well, but that is the latest on the Oilers star player. Well, that's all I have for now, guys. Still no Connor McDavid signing, but like I said, Kaprizov locked up, so hopefully that gets Connor McDavid closer to that contract. A sickness going around the Oilers dressing room, so hopefully that one's dealt with sooner rather than later, but we may see a few other guys stick around longer than they were originally intended to with that sickness going around. So should be interesting here in Oil Country over the next couple days. Let me know your thoughts on all the latest developments in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan.